The sun has been a mystery for centuries. We know that it makes up over 99.8% of the total mass of our entire solar system. So anything that happens on the sun affects everything in the entire solar system. Thousands of astronomers have been asking themselves for centuries, what is the sun? What is it made of? And most importantly, what effects will it have on us? Through major scientific breakthroughs, engineers, scientists, astronomers have been developing some of the most sophisticated instruments ever developed to monitor the sun's activity. Stereo A and B, along with the SOHO satellite, give us a full 360-degree view of the surface of the sun. That way we can monitor the sun from all angles. That way we know what's coming from the east and the west, respectively, so we know what's turning in to face us. We have discovered a phenomenon called sunspots. These are regions of the sun where the temperatures are a little bit cooler, but this is also where all the magnetic mixing happens on the surface of the sun. See, when these magnetic fields start to bend, the positive and the negative start to intertwine, they bend and they break their flux lines, shooting off huge sections of plasma from the sun. And when this happens, and these are known as a coronal mass ejection or solar flare. Now, these are massive eruptions on the sun. They would absolutely dwarf the Earth. The Earth wouldn't stand a chance if we were any closer. These can be hundreds of thousands of miles across and at temperatures of over 10 million degrees Fahrenheit. So, like I stated, anything that happens on the sun happens to the rest of the solar system. Here's a picture of Saturn being affected by solar particles, creating the auroras on the north and the south pole. And this is at over 800 million miles from the sun. Now the Earth is only 93 million miles from the sun. So you could imagine that when something happens on the sun, that if we're in the path, something big could happen. We have phenomenon here called the aurora borealis, just like on Saturn, with the light shows from the particles colliding with atoms from within our atmosphere, and these particles are highly electrically charged and radiated. They come in at supersonic speeds, and depending upon where you live, you can call them the northern lights or the southern lights or just simply the aurora borealis. These particles get brought in by the Earth's magnetic field, and as you can see here, the front of the Earth's magnetic field, the sun-facing side, gets the biggest blow. It pushes in, and the back end just ends up trailing off. But at the North and the South Pole, this is where all the particles get brought into our atmosphere. And this is where it could be very dangerous, because if the sun releases too many of these particles at one time during a coronal mass ejection or a solar flare, these particles can get brought in and overcharge our electrical grid. And this is very dangerous for modern society because we are completely based off of, electricity and GPS satellites and, telecommunication systems. Now, we've already had massive blackouts happen in the past because of solar flares, and millions of people have been without power for days and weeks. But this could happen on such a scale that we could end up losing power for years or even permanently. So we need to prepare and stock up on essential things like batteries, candles, generators, gas power generators, flashlights. Of course, we need food and water. Of course, non-perishable items, something that you can keep for many months at a time without it getting spoiled. Now, I know a full stock pantry is not in everybody's budget, but buying 1 or 2 extra cans every time you go to the grocery store can really add up. Now, if we have no power, then we can't pump fuel. We can't pump water into the homes. So it's very essential that we stock up on fuel source as well as water supplies, because there will be no power to produce any of that. So we all need to do our part now to help our family members, our friends, and ourselves stock up on the necessary items we need to survive what the sun may throw at us.